All right, guys, welcome to this week's Brand Like a Boss episode, and very excited to be here today. My name is Sanjeev, and every single week I have the opportunity to invite a brand new agent on a call like this to discuss their website and determine how we can improve it and make it better. So, if you're joining us here today, welcome. If you're joining us here for the first time, welcome as well. And just want to make sure you know kind of how to interact with me today. There's a Q&A button at the base of your Zoom screen or a chat button. Both of those you can open up and interact with us during this actual live call. So if you have any questions, you want to make a comment of any sort, you totally can, and I'll be able to see that. Secondly, if you're joining us again for the first time, I want to make sure you know where to find all of our past webinars. So at the very top of my reel page, you're going to notice a support section here at the top of your dashboard. When you come here, if you scroll down, you will notice a section that says search the knowledge base. And if you click on that, it will take you to this section over here where you can find all of our past recordings. And we have done quite a few now. We're 8 episodes in, and this is our ninth. And so we're very excited to just continue to provide this kind of values. We received a lot of positive feedback from every single agent we featured, and really helping them kind of turn one aspect of their website around and just kind of send them on their way with a lot of great tips. And so we haven't actually completed Julie's website yet, but I do want to actually quickly showcase Jacqueline's website that is live now. We had actually done her feature back on July 22nd, and it took a little bit longer to kind of complete. But here's kind of the brand new kind of website from where it used to be, and she's very excited about that. We had a great conversation just the other day, just talking about her brand new website, just how it kind of showcases a little bit more about who she is, what she's all about. Really features her social media feed. She's more of a social realtor, so she wanted to make sure that was a really big part that was included on her website. And we were able to segment her blog so they're a lot easier now to read rather than having one big blog. Now we've kind of broken things into that of these different categories, like the Market Watch, which features all things related to that of her real estate market numbers that people can come to and take a look at. And then she's got things related to mortgage advice over here underneath the mortgage minutes. So she's made it really easy for people to now kind of get to that of the specific blog page that they need to. And then the other thing that we really spent some time doing was updating her buying and selling pages. So here on the buy and sell pages, we made sure that we're kind of just well put together, a little bit more kind of thought put into that of the layout. And then same with the community pages as well too. One of the things we did is we really increased the utilization of call to action. So you can see here to view all homes for sale using that of sold prices. We included a map here as well too, just a little bit better way for people to visualize different kind of landmarks in that of the area that they're kind of looking at. And like I mentioned, we have this kind of new call to action in here, as well as that of an FAQ section that would help out with that of just SEO. So a lot of great things done on this website. Such a good example of what can be done when we put some more thought into it. So I just want to showcase that to you guys from one of our former episodes. So with that all being said, I'm going to pass the ball over here to John, who is joining us here all the way from Halifax. John, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Angie.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for reaching out and asking if you could be a part of this. And as we were just chatting before we started this call, you've been with my real page for about 10 or so months. And just like every single one of these episodes that I've done, the first thing I love to do is just maybe have people kind of get to know you as a realtor. Tell us a little bit about yourself, just in general, as far as a real estate agent goes, how long you've been in business for, who you service in your area, just whatever you'd like to share. Go right ahead.
All right, thanks. I've been a realtor now, my 24th year. I owned a brokerage that I actually still work in, um, and I service the greater Halifax area and certain parts of Nova Scotia. I do a lot of military relocation, downsizers, and a lot of first-time home buyers. The market in Halifax is still quite strong. Definitely still a seller's market here. So yeah, I've done many different things in the 24 plus years. I've always been trying to keep on the edge of technology, and one of my colleagues is a client of my real page, and I analyzed his site and liked what I saw, and that's when I switched over.
Oh, that's very cool. Who's the colleague, by the way, out of curiosity?
Jeremy Cowan.
Okay, cool. Right on. I'm not sure if I had a chance to maybe ever work with him in the past, but that's good to hear. And that's fantastic. I mean, you're obviously experienced in your business, and just your background is amazing. I actually took the time to look back and read some things on LinkedIn as well too, with some of your stats and accolades. So it speaks a lot to that of your success as a real estate agent. So congratulations on all the great stuff so far. As you come here today to chat with me about your website, talk to me a little bit about, what would you love to maybe try to improve on? Obviously, I got some things that I've written down here and I can share them with you, but just in your own observations of your site, like if there's better utilization you could get out of it, maybe there's things you were trying to do, just haven't been able to do it, procrastinating on it, whatever the case may be, right? But tell me about some of those things.
Um, I think and I think just the pre-introduction there with the previous webinar you did, Julia, or I think her name was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
I,
Yeah,
I I
Julie.
I really like some of the stuff that you've done with her site, especially on the social media side. Um, Definitely the communities page is something I need to step up and incorporate that because I'm pretty sure that SEO and those kinds of things look for community pages when people are searching on communities that your website should be found. Um, but definitely that social media page. Obviously, social media is a big impact on consumers these days. So if you can be front and center, I think that's very advantageous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see that you're on a lot of different platforms here from what we can see on the right-hand sidebar. So that's amazing. And then getting them integrated into your website just for sure increase the opportunity for people to kind of follow you or like get exposure to you on different platforms that they're maybe active on, right? So
Yeah,
absolutely, we can talk about integrating that into the website. And then the whole community pages thing, one thing that I can share with you, depending on your region, of course, like there's some regions that may have lower competition than others, but using community pages and leveraging them for SEO and organic search is very powerful. And one aspect of that is being able to answer those commonly asked questions that people might be asking about, like what's it like to live in XYZ neighborhood. And that opens up a perhaps a blog page that actually addresses that answer or answers that question. But inside your blog, you're actually hyperlinking that community page for someone to get the full scoop on that neighborhood. Does that make sense, right? And then you can
yes,
obviously, integrate things like neighborhood guides, etc., PDF downloads, which we'll talk about a little bit about this today. So let's kind of dive right in. I'll share with you some of my notes as well too as I looked over your website. So guys, as we kind of go through this, and for those of you guys who are watching, the first thing I love to do is I just like to go through a website and just analyze it from top to bottom and just ask myself, how can we improve it? In addition to what John just mentioned, and a lot of things that we're going to do, just like I did for the last agent that I just brought up, Jacqueline, that John had referenced. Some of these changes we'll make live here today, but some of these changes you guys are going to have to make, off the call, just because there's going to be quite a lot we're going to go through. But then our goal is to come back to you and show you really what does it look like when we've kind of really gone in there and made all those adjustments and tweaks. And so first thing that I would like to kind of comment on, John, as I came here, is that I love the fact that you've really taken the time to change your banner, your home screen, because I think a lot of times when people choose themes from any provider, whether it's my real page or another, most people don't take the time to change the most basic thing, which is that of the banner image. And the fact that you've changed it, and here it is in the back end, just for anybody who's kind of watching, changing this section here at the top to something that represents your local area, as John has done right over here. He's dropped in a background photo that's more kind of indicative of that region that he's in. It's so powerful, right? And you have obviously another kind of background image here in slide number two. I think this is probably meant to carousel. Maybe it's not carouseling right now, but do you want me to turn that on there, John? Because right now I can see
yeah,
it's
that's
not actually doing that. Okay, great. That
yeah.
would have just probably been by accident, but it's all good. So now it's on. If we just refresh, now what's cool about this is that that top image can rotate. It can rotate with that of another photo, just like he has right over here. It can rotate with that of like let's just say like a video if you wanted to. And one thing you'll obviously notice from that second slide is that it's not really making the text visible because it's white on white. So one aspect of this that you want to keep in mind is just make sure you got the right contrast, right? So if you just darken this probably slightly, then the content, everything will come in just fine. One thing I also noticed is that there's actually no kind of text content on your second slide, John. So what I'll just quickly do, let me just quickly fix this for you. We're just going to add a second slide, fix that photo in there, and everything else would stay the same. So if I just refresh this now, it's going to actually look a lot better. So here's slide number one. There's slide number two. Okay.
Okay.
So now you
Yeah.
can see the text, it looks a lot better. So anyways, you can go ahead and add some more things. Now, one thing we're going to do at this little top section here is we're going to maybe make some changes as it relates to that of like some of these avatar pages in terms of people you're servicing, like you mentioned, military relocation, downsizers, first-time home buyers. I always talk about making use of this homepage banner in a way that strategically already kind of calls out to your specific avatar where they should go to that of the next page of their website. So you don't have to have one button here, which is the one that is by default. Why choose me as your agent? You can also have, let's just say, three buttons here. And one of those buttons could be like military relocation, one could be downsizing, one could be first time buyers. And they go to these specific avatar related pages. So we'll come back and do that in a little bit. Now, if we scroll down here, this section, John, the first thing I noticed is that obviously it's a great biography you have. It's just the fact that people probably don't spend time reading all of this on the home page. Does that make sense? So what I tend to encourage agents to do is try to condense this bio to the same length of that of your photo, just so that even when people scroll down on the page, it's got the same kind of like length, so that it's a lot better of a design from a visual standpoint. And again, just leave a read more button for people to want to read the rest. The other thing about this text here as well too is we can go ahead and highlight some of the things that we want people to kind of take a look at. So I'll give you an example here, John, and obviously you and I can work on this together and make it the way you and I see fit. But for example, your experience of having over 2 decades of experience in this area is something worth mentioning. So just bolding that would make sure that it kind of stands out to people when they see it at first glance versus that getting lost amongst the entire block of text because everything has the same weighting when it's the same font weight. Does that make sense? Okay. So just having things like that, I think, are going to be really key. So we'll go through that and even do that a little bit more. But even down over here, I see here it says a top producing agent year after year earned your recognition for outstanding sales performance, including a Frank Steele Award and the distinction of being $1 million producer. And it has some additional things right over there as well too. So this is all good. Like I said, we can probably abbreviate that and get it to a point where it's more nice and condensed, and we can bold the things that really kind of stand out inside of your web page. And I'm just going to go ahead and save that just so you can see that there, just like that. You see what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just looks so much better by just having it that way. One thing about the awards, and I'll come back and help John with this guys a little bit later after the call, but anytime you use awards, one of the things you want to do is provide some context around the award because people may not necessarily know what that award means in your world. So for example, when I read the word Frank Steele Award, John, I have no idea what that means, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Yeah.
but you know what it means, and obviously it has some sort of value to somebody when they're coming in, taking the time to investigate you as an agent. So anytime, guys, whatever the award you received, add some context to that. Like, what does that mean for me as the buyer? What does that mean for me as a seller? And we can rearrange that section a little bit, kind of further as we'll kind of do that in a little bit. There's some good numbers that you actually have, John. I saw that off your LinkedIn profile, but maybe you can shoot some things off the top of your head. But when it comes down to credibility markers, one of the things I highly recommend people to do is use things like data and statistics where possible. This could be in the form of the number of reviews. This could be in the form of sales volume. This could be that of their sale to list price ratios. I mean, the list goes on. There's a couple different ways that you can obviously do that. And this is just something that I talk a lot about in my Advantage webinar. For those of you guys who maybe don't have access to this slide deck that I put together this back in the month of May. I'm just going to drop it in the chat in case anybody wants to have it. It's a educational slide deck that just explains about different ways you could utilize the My Real Page platform to showcase different kind of pieces of enhancements to your web page. And one thing I talk about is using things like social proof ratings, data points. So for example, you can see here in this little screenshot, like 26 average days on market versus that of the rest of the board, or your total sales volume. So you already mentioned, for example, one of those numbers, John, which is you've been in business for 24 years. Is there anything else you can share in addition to that, out of curiosity?
In what context, Angie?
It could be, for example, sales volume, could be that of like, anything like that at all, like number of reviews. Um, do you kind of have any of that kind of statistics off the top of your head?
Not off the top. I know I have reviews. I don't know, maybe around. I just started asking for reviews because of the importance when people start searching your Google reviews. And then I also learned that on multiple platforms, if you're, within the platform, sending out review requests, not necessarily goes to Google, right? So I'm learning that as well. Um, yeah, I mean, the accolades in 24 years, all the um, sales accomplishments I've made. There's, many of them, and I not one to really talk about my successes in that way. I'm not one of these agents that says, "Oh my God, I had six buyers and three closings, and oh my God, what a day!" It's like that's not about who I am. I'm there to service clients. Not It's not about me. But yes, you have to
Mm,
convey that you are a competent professional agent. And that's what
yeah,
I more
totally.
focus on. Now, the Frank Steele Award is the award that we created when I used to own the brokerage of a very dear agent friend of ours who passed away of cancer. So we created
Mm.
a Frank Steele Award, and that award is for anyone who exceeds the $300,000 GCI for that given year.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Perfect. Good to know. Good to know. In terms of what that is. And just like you mentioned too, John, I think that's a really valid point you just shared is that it's not about being braggadocious like with your stats. It's
Right.
it's that of reinforcing for people just your credibility. You're not a new
Yeah.
kid on the block. You're somebody that's got authority in the marketplace. And this is just what the authority is. And sometimes it's hard to like kind of separate the two without, sometimes getting into our head about like, oh, I don't want to come across this way. But I always tell agents that you can balance both. Remember at the end of the day, it's just about how you communicate and how you kind of put those things out there. So one example of how we did that with Jacqueline's website is we just used, and I'll do this on staging, John, so I don't necessarily change and alter your live site. So we can leave the live site as it is, but I'm just going to toss it in right over here, right underneath the about section. So here's kind of a pro tip for anybody watching. When you're adding blocks to your web page, you will notice you have a block library, but you also have theme blocks here at the top. And the cool thing about theme blocks is it actually allows you to grab blocks from different templates and cross mix them with your own. And so one thing I really like, and we've kind of launched this theme recently, it's called Theme Solaire. And it's got a couple different blocks on there that are very unique and very powerful for this case. And so one of this is actually this one right over here, where we can actually showcase certain numbers just at a glance that can give people, just an indication of your credibility and performance. So I'm just going to drop that in there. We can come back and actually modify a little bit later together, John, and we can obviously kind of massage it in a certain way that it's just nice and subtle, and it doesn't have to be that of like, again, coming across in any other way other than that of showcasing quickly at a glance, your background just by numbers and like I said, at a quick glance. Does that make sense? So
Yeah. Yeah.
one thing I'm going to do right over here, as you guys can see, is I can put in over here, for example, 24, years of experience is the caption for the stat. I think I gotta actually put this in all caps just so that it keeps the exact same kind of look and feel. So you can see here as an example now, just having that 24 years of experience is one of those kind of stats and success by the numbers that we can toss in there. So we can obviously complete the rest of this, or just could be two stats, three stats, doesn't matter. But we're going to leave that in there. Now, one thing you said about testimonials, John, is that you've been collecting them on Google reviews, which is amazing, as they can see that right over here. And I think this is also important to note as well, too, guys. Having a Google My Business profile is one thing, but I think John, you mentioned it. Like you have reviews in different places in
Mhm.
terms of different kind of sources. It could be probably maybe Facebook reviews. I saw a link, by the way, to rate my agent. I saw there's a one review was left over here for you, which is good. So you got some kind of reviews maybe dropped in different locations. Now, this is helpful, by the way, just so you guys know from search engines, because search engines actually look for reviews in multiple different locations and use that as a way of actually kind of validating people's requests when they ask questions to a search engine, whether that's a AI search engine. So whether people are using things like Perplexity or ChatGPT or Claude and they're asking questions about what's the best agent in Halifax? Well, that AI, response is going to go actually look for sources and use things like credibility markers, like your Google reviews and your Rate My Agent and Rank My Agent, etc., and pull them in to actually, give that person that kind of response based on who is quote unquote the best agent. So it's actually good to leave reviews in multiple locations. So, sometimes I encourage clients rotate your reviews on different platforms, right? One person asks them to leave on Google, one person asks them to leave on Facebook, but just kind of go through that of a little bit of rotation. That'll be really helpful. Now, one thing I noticed, John, is that right now your testimonial section is a manual section. So this is like kind of cut and paste, I guess, copy and paste type reviews, like as in you probably pulled them from these different platforms and just had them pasted here. Do you think it'd be a lot easier for you if we actually just embedded your Google reviews on your page? What do you think?
Absolutely.
So one thing I'll quickly maybe do this with you, because I think everybody would love to maybe kind of learn about how you even do that. This is a question we get asked quite often, like how do I get these 9 reviews directly on my webpage? Let me just quickly show you guys right now. There's a company that we encourage people to utilize. We have no affiliation with them. So if you just go to elfsite.com, they have a bunch of different widgets that I tend to like what we can use here. And so we'll come back and do this for your social feed a little bit later there as well too. John, because I know you mentioned like obviously you have quite a lot of activity that's maybe happening there, so it'd be nice to integrate. And that's what Jacqueline had used. She used the social feed, as you can see right over here. But we're going to use this one over here called Google Reviews, which is actually just a review widget. But you also notice there's other review widgets as well too, and one that might be beneficial, especially if you have reviews from multiple different sources, is you can use the one that's called the all-in-one review. So this brings in reviews from Google, brings reviews in from say Facebook or say Trustpilot or wherever you maybe have these review websites. And so highly encourage you to maybe consider utilizing that. But for our case here, John, what we'll go ahead and do, let's go ahead and create a brand new account over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on continue with email. And then what I'll do is I'll create your account right now and I'll send you kind of the password afterwards. And what we'll do is we'll create an account that is for your Google reviews. Okay. And then
Mhm.
afterwards, you can decide if you want to add some other stuff there and etc. So let me just go ahead and do that. So here we go. So we're going to go to click on Google reviews right over here. Where is it? Okay, there it is. Bingo. Now we have a couple different options, John, as to how we can have these reviews. We can have them carouseling sideways like this, as you can see. So that doesn't take up too much space on the page. Another example is you can have it as like a grid where it kind of goes down the page like this. So if people want to load more, they just click on this to load more. So that's another way to do that. And then another way here is like this one kind of big slider that goes across the page. Is there anything that you see here that you feel like you'd want to use between maybe these three?
Yeah, probably the first one, I think.
Cool, let's do that then. So the first one shows a couple of them and then it rotates. So let's go and click on continue with this template. So the first thing you actually have to do is you got to go find your Google My Business profile name. So this is the name of the Google My Business profile. You need to copy that. And what you want to do is you want to paste it right over here and click on search. And then you should actually see your thing show up over here. And as soon as you click on it, the reviews get then collected and it just takes a couple minutes for that to take place. So as you can see, it's kind of loading and there you go. Now all the reviews are there. Now, the
Hmm.
next thing you can do from here is if you wanted to, you can turn this AI generated summary on. And what it does is it provides a AI generated response summary off of all 9 reviews and puts it right in the front. So it says, hey, he's praised for his professionalism, highlights extensive knowledge, utilizes modern technology such as drone videos to enhance property sales. Now, some of you guys may want to keep that. Some of you guys may not want to keep that. It's totally up to you. Okay. So I'm just going to turn that off for now. Of course, you're more than welcome, John. If you want to put that back on, you totally can. Once I give you a login, so you can go in and do that over here. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Now, when it comes down to a really good question that just came in right now is if you link your reviews to directly feed off of Google, then would you not have control if a negative review comes in? This is such a good question. Here's the
Hmm.
cool thing, Julie, is that over here there's a filter. Look at this. The filter says that a rating has to at least be 5 stars. So that means that no review will showcase that's actually anything less than 5 stars inside of this carousel. This allows you to avoid having to deal with like whatever review that might come in. In addition to that, you can also exclude reviews by clicking on add filter and type in the person's name right over here. That ensures if you ever get those bogus reviews, somebody that just wants to kind of hurt on your brand or reputation, you can easily kind of just tell them that that's not going to work on you. All right. So with that being said, here's your style now at the very top. So you notice you have a couple different header options over here. So you can see how if you rotate through these, you can kind of choose which one you like. There's a couple different options that Google will give you. And so I'm going to go ahead and just maybe say pick this one over here. And now let's click on the next part, which says review. You also have the ability to adjust the review style. So if I wanted to display differently, as you can see there on the cards, I have a couple different options over here. And I also have a couple different options as to how the review source style appears as well too. So all of these things I'm just quickly showcasing to you guys that you can play around with. And of course, John, once I give you the logins for this, you're more than welcome to update it and it'll automatically update the widget on the actual website. Okay. You don't have to actually insert the code in after I insert in right now. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
one of the things is I noticed that this is your accent color being used on your website. Do you want to use this as your accent color? Do you want to use that turquoise or even that like other orange color of your logo as the accent color?
Try the turquoise, see what that looks like.
Okay, sure. Why not? So let me just go ahead and just use a color picker right now just to grab that turquoise color. So let me just quickly grab that over here from that logo. There we go. Okay, so perfect. So one thing is, and this is just something in case you guys don't know, is you can change the entire kind of theme color in terms of your accent color of your website underneath the theme settings. So here underneath colors, you'll notice that we can easily just replace that and it replaces it across the board. So everything changes. Do you like that better, John, instead of that gold
Yes.
color? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's rock and roll with that. So I'm going to go and save that for now. Let's go back to the review widget. So here we go, back to Google Reviews. We now want to change that same thing with that accent color right over there as well too. So I can go and just drop in the color code. There it is. So now you can see it loads like this. Read more uses the exact same kind of an accent color as well too. And everything else so far looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and click on now this whole publish button. Even though there's more stuff you guys can do if you wanted to, you can go into the background header. You can really play around with this to a large degree. So just for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and click on publish. Now you'll notice there's pricing plans. You just want to go ahead and pick the free option because here's what happens. It gives you 200 views on a monthly basis, and that's probably going to be enough as long as you're not running maybe kind of say ads to your website where you're hitting over 200 views on a monthly basis. And so if you take a look at this option over here, click on select, it's going to then give you this code right over here, which you're just going to click on this little copy button. And now from there, what we'll be able to do is we're going to go and add it into the web page. And for example, now I can add that little statistics section, maybe right in between these two areas right over here. So where it says widgets, I can click on this thing that says HTML widget. So that's the tool I want to use to paste any form of code into my web page. And when I toss that in there, I can go and click on this little button that says edit now and go and paste the code as you can see there and click on apply changes. And now you can see that his Google reviews coming directly into the website. Isn't that great, John? Okay. So
Mhm.
now this is going to just be a constant ongoing thing. And I can make it even full width if I want. I can add some spacing top and bottom as well too, just so it's just not kind of bumped up against those sections. So there's a little bit of some padding now increased, and now it's like nice and full width, and that can now sit right there on his website directly underneath that of his kind of original homepage bio section. So when we get back to you guys next week, you'll see that we're going to abbreviate this. It's going to go directly into that of his reviews. So we'll put a little title above here as well too that says something like what my clients say or read my reviews. And then it'll go with some quick little numbers at a glance, like 24 years of experience and some of the other stats that we have. If we want to put in some of the other things, we'll obviously come back and do that. But that really makes it a nice kind of intro as your homepage is really designed to be like that for your webpage is people come here to get to know you a little bit, to get to know you very quickly, understand a little about your background, credibility markers, and so on and so forth. Now, what I'd like to kind of transition into is I'd like to talk a little bit about some of these buying avatars. So you already mentioned, I think it was three of them. I think you mentioned there, John. You mentioned people looking to relocate for military purposes. You mentioned people looking to downsize, and you mentioned people looking to be first-time home buyers. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Was there anything outside of those three?
Not that I really totally focus on. Those are the main three.
Go right on. So one thing we're going to do, John, and this is just to help your webpage out in terms of helping those people find out more information as it relates to those three different things, is let's take these buttons over here that currently say why choose me as your agent and turn each and every single one of them into a kind of call out to those different avatars. So this one could be, for example, military relocation. Whoops. And then the next one can be, and I'll change the links afterwards, but let me just quickly show this to you. So one could be military relocation, one could be looking to downsize or downsizing, and then the last one could be that of first-time home buyers. So now if you take a look at how this loads on your home screen, which is all done on staging right now, do you see what I mean by that?
Hmm. Yeah.
So what I like about this is that if somebody visits now your domain, the first thing they see is those three buttons right off the gate as to how you can help them out right away. So are you
Yeah.
looking for military relocation? Are you looking to downsize? Are you looking for first-time home buying? Go ahead and click on one of these three. They will open up some introduction pages into those three different things. Now, what we're going to do on those three pages is we're going to create some framework of text using what we call the problem agitate solution framework, just to be able to talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges that relate to these three things, and then how we can position you as the expert to help out with those three things. Um, One thing I would love to ask is, do you happen to have like buyers or seller guides there at all, John?
Yes. Yeah.
You do. Okay, fantastic. Are they currently on the web page? I haven't really taken a chance to maybe take a look. Maybe they
No,
are over here.
I don't know.
So we
Can't
have the
remember.
ultimate buyer guide here. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
cool.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, that's the guide right here. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then if I come over here, let's just take a look at this. So I just want to make sure this has been set up right, which it goes towards the guide, which it does. Okay, that's great. So that looks good. And then I'm just going to double check that on the seller page, you got the same thing going on here too. So the ultimate seller's guide, we have that there as well too, which is great. Awesome. And if let's just double check this over here and look at the media form section, and it looks like, yeah, that's also good as well too. Okay, perfect. So one of the things we can do with these guides as well is we can also get them connected to some of these other pages as well too. So when we have the military relocation page, downsizing page, and the first time homebuyers page, we can actually have content on these pages as it kind of relates to those specific folks, and being able to offer a guide as a download as well as that of a call as a download as well too. So somewhere people can maybe book a call or have a consultation with you, something like that. Just provides them that little bit of call to action. And we can add all of these pages over here underneath the buying tab. So they're all going to be visible right over here. And what we can also do, and this is a carousel that I really, really do like a lot as far as being able to add to your web page. I'm just going to drop it in right over here, just after those kind of stats sections. So going back underneath theme blocks, there's a great block that I like using, which is a carousel, where you can actually talk a little bit about this as well too, or just have some nice kind of things people can click on, which is this one right over here. So if I click on insert selected, let me show you how we can utilize this as well here too, John, to have the same thing. So given the fact that those are the three different services that you offer in terms of people that you're looking to help out, so we can do this one as military relocation over here. So this could be that example. This one over here can be that of your downsizing. And then the last one can be that of first-time home buyers. So same concept there as far as like having those things as clickable things off your home page, and they can go directly into that of those specific pages there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, for example, this could be saying something like, "How can I help you today?" And we could say, whether you're relocating to the area or looking to downsize, I have solutions for all your needs. And then they can kind of open up into, click below to discover how I can help, right? Something to that effect. And we can obviously massage that a little bit better later. So that's kind of the concept between these three little buttons right over here. So that kind of opens up those different pages, and we'll talk about creating those pages. Now, one thing that I noticed, I'm just going to add some layers to this now, just in terms of checking some of your socials out, kind of tie a little bit into this right now with the guides, etc. But one thing I want to give you a heads up on, in your Instagram profile, John, I noticed that there's some links here that are actually not going to proper pages. So if you just want to make a note of this, because we can remove them later, this right here that says link in bio is actually not going anywhere, just so you know. Ideally, this actually does go to your biography page called your about page. So ideally, the link for that, I guess, would probably go to this page right here called the Johnny Dulong Edge, and it can maybe kind of just showcase these little stats and in terms of what you provide to people. I think you might even have like a, this might seem like more of a marketing related page. I think you probably have an about page somewhere on your website here too. Right here, my bad. Here it is, the about page. This page right here is an example, which we can make a lot better as well. But this page that talks a little bit about your bio, if you copy this link over here, you can probably edit this link and put that instead. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this link does not go anywhere. The second link I want you to know that doesn't go anywhere is this one right over here. Okay, so both of those right now are just going to some random company's website. So if you update those, the seller's guide should technically go to this guide right over here, the ultimate seller's guide page.
Hmm.
Okay. So have that go here, and then this will then appear. Now, one thing I'm going to highly encourage us to do on that selling page, and this is something that I can make in terms of edits a little bit later. Notice how your page opens up. It says the ultimate guide to selling your home, and it opens up with some text content over here first, and then it has the guide here second. You notice that? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because of how people experience the page, if they're clicking off of your Instagram, which is very likely as to how they're going to even come to that page, is if they're coming off of Instagram, they find this and you mention this in one of your videos and you say, hey, click the link in bio, you can get my seller's guide today. If they click on this and they come to this page, but they have to scroll on their phone, which keep in mind, a phone scroll is a lot longer of a scroll than a desktop scroll because your phone is going to look a lot like this, right? So when
Hmm.
you now are scrolling down on this page, as you can see, if you clicked off of that link off of your Instagram, people are going to be like, "Well, where's the guide?" Well, the guide is like all the way down over here. You see what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to avoid that, what we're going to do instead is we're just going to flip the order of these two things. So instead of having, the guide down below, let's have the guide up front because that's what people are coming to this page for. And then you can have the second part of text content down below. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that's great about this, by the way, here too, because you're talking about things like listing your home for sale 101. One of the cool things about this, and this is where like an SEO tip I want to share for everybody watching. This is a really important tip. And obviously I'll help you fix a lot of this as I kind of, tweak your website here, John. But one of the things is that when you have text on any page, matter of fact, this is kind of a rule of thumb. If you can kind of keep this in your mind, is that on every page, if I ideally can I link it to 5 other pages inside of my website? And the reason why I say that is because from an SEO point of view, if you can get these pages more interconnected with each other, Google has a much easier job in that of being able to understand and crawl and understand the relationship with the pages with each other. So for example, where it says find the right realtor, this will be someone local who has a good understanding of selling homes in your area. Well, for example, where it says find the right realtor, I can take this right over here and I can go ahead and click on this little button that says a link. And guess what? I can link this over here to your about page. Does that make sense, John? Okay.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
when somebody sees this and they're like, oh, I wonder where that links to. Well, guess what? They're now going all the way over to your about page, which is great. That is where they can get to know you and obviously figure out if they want to use you as a realtor. Another example right here, did you see this one right here? It says your home value should be objectively assessed based on comparable homes on the market. Do you want to know your home value? Click here for a free estimate, but there's nothing to click here for. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Let's hyperlink this entire thing right over here. And let's click on this little link button. And this is going to go over to that of the home evaluation page. Okay. So now look at how better that looks. You see what I mean? Right. So now
Yeah.
when people are on this page, if they get to this section, they can go to the about page. They can get to the home evaluation page. Here's the next one, listing and descriptions. Most people find your home online. How it's described is a huge make it or break it for keeping their attention. Crafting the right copy can alert buyers to describe all facts and features about your home. So this, for example, can go over to both of these can actually go over to that of your marketing strategy kind of related page, which I got to go back and take a look at it. I think it's the this right over here. So what you've written over here is an example like drone photos and video. If I clicked on um, this is fantastic. You got some great stuff that you're obviously highlighting here, and maybe there's some new stuff you want to put in here, by the way, which we totally can. Heck, we could even put like a whole YouTube playlist in here as well, too. By the way, using those widgets from that company Elf site. But bottom line is that if we take this little link over here, drone photos and video, and let's go back to that page over here. So where it says photos and videos, it says it's a digital age. Prospective buyers will favor homes that have a great professional photos and even video tours. So that right there, let's go ahead and link that entire part over to that page. So we're going to click on paste, and there you go. Okay. So you can see here, just doing a couple of things like this. And for anybody who's watching, this is just a way of getting your pages to really start getting linked together. So now if we're on this page, I'll just open this up into a live web page so you can take a look at this. Beautiful now that it opens up into your seller's guide as the first thing, John. And then notice now the second thing, if I click on this, takes me to your about page, right? If I click on this, takes me to your home evaluation page. And if I click on this, takes me directly to that of your drones and photos and video page. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just a lot more effective in that of how we connect our pages together. It's just one thing I wanted to just kind of really point out there. So that is done now. Okay, so now we've kind of taken care of that. One cool thing about the selling part that I want to share with you as well too, John, as I'm kind of almost like running out of time, I want to do a couple more things live here. This stuff right here is an example on the selling page currently. You have this section that just opens up, has some content, has video, which I think is awesome. I haven't watched this yet, but I'm sure it's really great that you've kind of got a good video here as well too with content. This whole little seller's guide, complete the form, is totally unnecessary because you already have a page where you have the seller's guide. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as opposed to having multiple forms, and this one's probably a manual form, so I'm assuming if I go check that page out right now, anybody who probably fills that out may not actually get the guide directly because you may not have linked that up. Let's just take a look. Yep, exactly what I thought. So you'll see here just submits, but there's no page that it goes to afterwards. So here's kind of a pro tip, you guys, just as far as like moving blocks around. If I go to John Sellers page, you'll notice here that there's an option here at the very top that has this little copy icon. So a lot of people don't even know about this little icon and what it does, but it's like a total hack if you ask me. You can go in and click on this, and what it can do is it can copy this entire section to like my clipboard, like I'm copy and pasting like a Word document as an example. And now I can go back to a selling page and go ahead and delete this over here. So we're going to go to remove that. And what's amazing here, John, is I can go ahead and literally just add that same block by clicking on this little blue plus button, and it allows me to add that same block. So I'm going to come over here, click on import snapshot, and just go look at this, and don't get overwhelmed, you guys. Okay, just trust me, this works. All
Word.
right, trust me, it works. Okay, there you go. It's here. All right. So
Okay.
now that's much better, right? Like, okay, you're talking about some things to do with selling a home, and bam, the seller's guide is already there. So I don't have to click to a new page to get the seller's guide. It's just another area and an avenue where I can deploy the seller's guide as a lead magnet for people to download. And if there's anything I might want to add to this little text over here, is like, as you have this text over here, there's going to be maybe a button at the very bottom of the text. Let me just go ahead and add that in there for you right now, John. The text is just going to be like, download free seller's guide today. Okay. And now what that's going to do is it's going to use this option called scroll to location. So instead of picking a link, scroll to location is a really good technique to use to anchor things further down along the page. In this case, I'm anchoring this button to this section of the page. I'm going to remove this little graphic icon there. I'm going to make this a filled button so it's very easily recognizable on the page. And if I click on apply changes now, take a look at this, you guys. Look at how it says download free seller's guide today right after that text. So watch this now, right? If you refresh the page now, take a look at this. If I click on this, John, look at what it does. It brings me further down. Do you see what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, great, great, great. Oh, there's a seller's guide. What if I don't ever scroll this far down? I might not never have known there's a seller's guide. But now that I see this here, if I click on this, it brings me down directly over here to the point where I can go ahead and fill that out and download John's seller's guide. Okay. So hope that makes sense. All right. Just some different tools and techniques you can use there. Now, one more thing I'm going to check over here is that if you turn this to a mobile layout, and I think a lot of people tend to forget about this, is your mobile layout operates a little bit different than your desktop layout. Notice right now that the video here is at the bottom, John. Do you see that there? And then the
Mm.
text kind of shows up first. But truthfully, if the video is like some good content and people are really kind of into watching videos today than they are reading a bunch of text, what we want to do is we actually want to prioritize this box. So there's a section here underneath mobile options, located underneath the options part of a blog that allows to choose things like, do we want to prioritize this on a mobile screen? And then in this case, we do. We want to prioritize this video on mobile so people would want to watch it first. So take a look at this now. If I change this to a mobile perspective, you see how the video shows up first now, John? Okay.
Mm.
So now that's a lot better because that's actually really probably what people are going to click on first is they're going to watch the video, then they're going to maybe come down below and maybe read the rest of the text, and then you got your seller's guide right below. Make sense? Okay. So let's go to rock and roll with that layout instead. I think it's just a lot better the way that's situated. Now, one last thing with some time that I have left, and we're going to work on so much more throughout the next week, as I got a lot more notes kind of off to the side here, John. But I want to ask you a little bit about something that I saw here in your back end. So underneath the website section, I noticed all these searches over here that have been created. Now, whether you did them, whether someone else did them, I'm not too sure. One thing I know is that I just don't see them inside the web page. So I just wanted to ask you about that. Is there a kind of, was this a project you were working on? Just tell me a little bit about this.
This is from my previous website. Um,
Got
I
it.
spent many hours doing all this, and yeah, it'd be nice to create a communities page on my real page and get this rocking and rolling because um, I got it from a guy that used to work for me, and he was, he was self-taught. So I don't know how he did it because he was coding himself like 10 plus years ago. And when you type in Google 123 Main Street, his website organically is coming up in the top 7 consistently. So, and this is what he was
Yeah.
doing, these kind of community pages and things like that.
Good stuff. Yeah. So just to kind of give some more light on this, because a lot of people are sometimes kind of wondering how does this all work? And I always tell people if you want to have it, a shot at ranking for, things on Google, it's better to rank for things that are a lot more detailed, what we call long tail keywords, than there are keywords that are maybe only using one or two words. The only difference between a long tail keyword and one that's a short tail keyword is just the number of words. So if we have, for example, Fairmount, Clayton Park, Rockingham, semi-detached homes, yeah, that's a long tail keyword. I mean, you're going to have much better shot of ranking for things like that than you would if it was just, let's just say semi-detached homes and someone's just searching the word semi-detached homes. Well, a little bit harder to rank for something like that. So this is good to know, John, that it was kind of like something brought over, just wasn't ever kind of fully put into use because I saw this and I was like, well, this is great because the nice part about these searches when they open up is that they only have about maybe say, single digit or low double digit number of searches available. And this is a good thing because when it comes down to the way people want to search, the way you want to make your search available on your website is actually not just through things like this. Because a lot of people think like, hey, if I just have a map search and an IDX search page like this, let me just open this up into a proper full tab, that it's enough. But the reality is that people like to take the path of least resistance, and this is just how people are. So if you can actually offer up to people easier searches that they can browse through, and you kind of done the legwork for them, rather than them having to play around with all these filters over here, that you've already done that and you've turned them into community searches, you make your website more useful. Therefore, people are going to spend more time on it. They're going to be more engaged. And so creating and crafting predefined searches like these over here, like you have, are fantastic. Let's definitely work together on building community pages where you can feature all of these so that when people click on them, they can take a look at the results. They can click on save search if they want to be notified about listings in that area. Why don't we work on that a little bit closer together? Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, sounds good. And one thing about this too is that, when we talk about getting onto Google, you guys, you want to make sure, and I already noticed this, so when I checked out your website, there, John, is that you're not necessarily on Google Search Console quite yet. And so anything to do with Google, you want to make sure on Google Search Console. Now, to clarify, when I say you're not on Google Search Console, John, it doesn't mean your website's not on Google. It is, okay? But if you want
Right.
to have control over what pages are being indexed. And this is a great way to just check, by the way. Anybody who's out here watching this on a Google search, just type in the word site, put a colon, and then paste the entire link of your website. What that's going to do is going to show you how many pages is Google indexed of yours online. So if you're ever wondering, is Google indexing my page? Well, do this and you can find out right away whether or not your page is being indexed. Here's the reason why I bring this up, by the way, John, is because when I actually went in and took a look at where was it? Let's go back to one of these over here. I think I pulled out one of these pages as an example. I was like, wow, this is amazing. You got all these searches created. Then what I did is I just put your domain name in front. So like this. So here's the page. It actually exists, right? With your domain right here. It's not maybe on your menu. What I then did is I went over here and I typed in the word site and I went like this and I got this. And so
Ah,
what that tells me is that Google doesn't know that this page exists, which is an opportunity here, massive opportunity for us to get all of those pages indexed alongside with the community pages we create. And we're going to do that by simply creating a Google Search Console account. So the last thing I'm going to do here for everybody's sake is just to know how to do this on a Google search, right? So if we go back to just your address bar, just type in the word Google Search Console. That's all you need to do. Okay. When you see this, the first link at the top, you want to go ahead and click on that. From there, you click on this button that says Start Now, and then it brings you to this screen right over here. Now, your screen is going to look a little bit different than mine just because I have already accounts in here where I have set up some of these accounts on the Google Search Console. Now, what yours is going to look like is going to look like this. It's going to open up with this screen right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to go and paste the link of your domain on the right-hand side over here that says URL prefix. Okay, so in this case here, let's go ahead and do that with sellhalifaxrealestate.com. We'll go ahead and drop it in right over here on the right-hand side, John. So it just looks just like this. So for those of you guys who are paying attention for your own domain, you want to do the exact same thing. Just put in your domain just like this, URL prefix. Click on continue. And then it's going to say verifying your property. And then this is going to give you a couple different verification methods. The one that you're going to want to use is this one called HTML tag. And what this does is it allows you to add a tag to that of your web page to get it verified. So we're going to copy this guy, and you'll notice here it says it should go into the head section of your website. Where that's located is located right under here on the left-hand side. It says Site Settings. Click on Advanced. You'll see the head section. And right over here, just underneath this little meta pixel code, we're going to go and drop in this little code right over here. Click on OK, click on the button Save Advanced, and then what you're going to do is come back over here and click on this button that says Verify. Once you've done it successfully, you'll get the green light just like this, says Ownership Verified. Click on Go to the Property, and now you're going to see here that it's going to basically now process the data to tell you how your pages are basically performing on Google search results. Now, one thing we're going to do to help it out is we're going to make sure that it has a sitemap if it doesn't already. So it looks like there was a sitemap here at one point submitted. I don't know maybe what point that was. We'll just go ahead and put that in right now. So your sitemap is the exact same as what I'm typing in here right now, you guys. Okay, so if you're doing this on your own search console, right after your domain, you just type in the word sitemap.xml, click on the submit button, and what Google is going to do is they're going to go ahead and basically fetch that information. So you can see here, submitted on August 5th, and it's going to go ahead and read that and basically discover more of those pages. And so, John, as we go through the process of linking up those community pages, moving forward, Google will organically find the other links such as these. Okay. So for now, because they're not visible anywhere on the web page, they're not going to be able to find them unless we manually force them to find it. Okay. Since we're still in the process of like kind of configuring this and like getting it kind of set the way we want, we'll just kind of hold off on that for now. We'll come back and add it in a little bit later. Sound good? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that was a total mouthful, but I'm all done for today. Guys, first of all, hope you found this very educational. Julie, thanks for your question as well too today. I think it was a really great question that everybody could learn off of just as far as the review widget and just being able to, not feel afraid of getting that review widget on the website in case of those negative reviews that are out there. They're just bound to happen. It's just part of the nature of just being in business. But, for the fact that you can kind of dictate what you showcase is pretty awesome. But guys, once again, I hope you learned something new today. Again, there's a lot of things you can do with your website. I have honestly just scratched the tip of the iceberg right here with John. So I'm really excited about getting into more kind of depths with him about his website and how we can kind of tweak things. So there's so much potential here. But I like to take things, one kind of bite at a time, right? So what I try to showcase to you guys here is just kind of a glimpse. And what you see when I get back to you about a week later is all the work I'm doing behind the scenes, helping out that real estate agent make those transformations and use the My Real Page platform to do that. So anyways, with that being said, John, any closing thoughts about this whole experience? Because I know this was actually more impromptu, you and I. You and I didn't really spend too much time kind of preparing for this. We just kind of dove right in, had a small little chit chat about an hour before here today. But how has your experience been throughout this whole call?
No, I just no, we didn't. We talked for, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 seconds. No, I want to thank you, Sanjeev. That was the presentation was awesome, and you are intimately engaged in your platform, that you know it very well. Um, and I'm looking forward to, yeah, my website doing a whole lot better with the changes that we're going to make. This is going to be really good.
Yeah, very excited and awesome. Well, I'm going to follow with you personally, John, so we can kind of get going on that. So I'll give you a shout here very soon.
Yeah, I have a
But
lot of questions on the back end just from watching you. I'm like my light bulbs are going off. Question, question, question. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for anybody else who feels the same with John, listen, you can drop us an email anytime, whether you're dropping the email to support at myrealpage.com or my email, which is sanjeev at myrealpage.com. Don't hesitate to shoot, and we're happy to answer. So thanks for joining us here today, you guys. Appreciate that, and look forward to chatting with you guys next week on Tuesday. Then, okay. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy the week ahead. Bye bye now.
Bye.